What is at stake is a big idea, a new world order.
Good morning, people. I want to talk about this whole Freddie Gray thing that's got the country going insane. Riots and looting and all this craziness. How did it start? Where did it begin? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Now, I want to start at the beginning. No, I don't mean the beginning where he was taken, this Freddie Gray kid was roughed up by the police in a paddy wagon or whatever is presented as the reason for his untimely death, his unfortunate death. When any young man dies, it's a bad thing. I say that, but at the same time, something else inside me tells me that when someone wants to go down the path and career in life of a criminal, whether they're a victim of the system, victim of a cycle of poverty and fatherlessness, or victim of kitties getting in the middle of their TV screen while they're recording, anybody chooses to be a criminal. And let me start at the beginning here. Like I said, Freddie Gray had a criminal record. He had over 20 criminal court cases. Most of it was to do with selling drugs, but there were other cases on there as well. Some of them were relatively minor crimes, but when you have 20 criminal court cases against you, and you get pulled over by a police officer, whether you're white or black, they're going to look at you differently than somebody who's got a clean record, okay? They're going to treat you differently. Me, myself, I get off most of the time when I talk to the police. They have no problem with me because I comply. I keep my hands where they can see them. I keep calm. I do everything that I'm supposed to do as a citizen to comply with the law that I live on, that I live under, that humans have developed to keep our society civilized and not in the jungle. So starting at the beginning, and I'm sorry if I tend to ramble because in my videos I just ramble and ramble and ramble. Starting at the beginning, this kid, he's a Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore is one of the most depressed, poorest. It's a wasteland, It's a wasteland, and you can't just say it's a black or a white problem, even though it's pretty damn tempting to say that. There's a lot of factors which contributed to the fall of cities like Baltimore and Detroit that have to do other than with black people. But black people certainly, I'm going to keep it real with you because I think that it's more racist to use kid gloves and pretend that I can't say what I want to say to black people, and I think that it's counterproductive. So I'll say it to anybody's face what I think, as long as it's not like insanely rude and wrong and not right. Black people caused the white flight out of Detroit, and businesses stopped investing. Detroit started going into the downward spiral. Black people have been in a downward spiral. Black people remain in a downward spiral. Is it because they're black that they're in a downward spiral? That is racism. When you say it's because of they're black that they're all in a downward spiral. The downward spiral has a lot more to do with, in my opinion, a family cycle that happens in a lot of black families. Especially nowadays after the drug epidemic hit, the crack epidemic hit a lot of black neighborhoods. A lot of black people, they grow up in environments which produce hopelessness, which produce criminality, like dude here who was arrested 20 times trying to sell drugs. These environments, there's not much we can do because and this is why a lot of black people vote liberal, because they want the government to come in and give them more money for their programs, or you know, how often do you hear that? We need more money for our programs, or something like that. That's why they vote liberal. But real black Republicans who know what's up, they'll tell you, no, 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 no. By the way, the Democrats are the ones who enslaved your asses. The Republicans are the ones who freed you. And Democrats want you enslaved today by relying on the government. They say, yo, you need the government to come in here with these social programs and sort your societies out for you. Excuse me, it's early morning and I'm a little sniffly. But that's a bunch of crap. Nobody's ever gotten anywhere from Big Brother reaching his hand down and magically making everything okay. Black people, y'all need each other, man. You need each other. Like, okay, people are going crazy saying that the cops are killing all the blacks, right? Okay, but what I'm seeing here is a statistic by the FBI from 2013 of homicides. It says that out of 2,500 black males, that doesn't say the gender actually, excuse me, mostly males. Out of 2,500 black people who were killed in 2013, excuse me, only 200 of those 2,500 black people were killed by whites. 224 of those black people were killed by other black people. Y'all need each other. Y'all need each other. Y'all need to stop growing up. You need to stop this attitude of, I'm gonna get mine. I don't care about it. What it does to society, or I don't care what it does to my family, or I don't care what it does to the people around me. That's a whole part of that downward spiral that exists in black communities. See, I'm keeping it real here. I'm not picking a side. I'm not picking one side or the other. I'm looking at objectively what's really going on. Black communities, it is a feedback loop. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a feedback loop. I think I saw statistics somewhere that 75% of black males are raised without fathers. There's the number one front and center problem right there behind why so many black people relative to whites are victims of gun violence, are victims and committers of violent crimes. That's not racism, kid. That's a fact. Go to the FBI crime statistics. I hate that word. I hate that word racism. It gets in the way of discussion. It gets in the way of acceptance and real understanding. It's actually communist, subversive, like linguistic communism. Try to subvert your own mind. Like, you know, it's doublethink or some bullshit. And just silly. Anyway, so it's part of this whole damn downward spiral. There's no father in the house. You know, the mom gets knocked up because she didn't have a father, so she's got the baby daddy. She's got the what do they call it? Hot damn! I don't believe I even needed to friggin' look that up because I use it so often to talk about all these trifling hoes out here. Daddy issues. Daddy issues. The mom of the family, they have the daddy issues because they didn't get attention from their father who wasn't there. So they go out and they get into bad relationships with abusive men. And these men turn out to be, according to a lot of statistics, and a large percentage of the time, deadbeat dads. Because they themselves grew up by mothers who did not have fathers in a lot of the cases, or who did not have husbands. At the very least, they grew up in a shitty environment a lot of times, places like Baltimore, where all your male role models are telling you, yeah, man, smoke rocks and sling crack and join the gang, and yeah, fuck the law, man, fuck the law, man. So that's what they're hearing over and over again, and it's a psychological cycle. And I'm not using this to explain away the death of this kid, Freddie Gray. All I'm using it is, I said I was going to start at the beginning. And so in order to really start at the beginning of the problems that we're in America as far as race goes, you really have to go to the beginning. And that is the beginning. The beginning is the cycle of largely fatherlessness, but the cycle of anxiety, of no love, of no support. You know, there's plenty of white families. Like, look at me. My dad left our family when I was 13, 12, 13. And it broke our family apart. And if he would have been in our family throughout the whole time, my life would have been much more structured, much more harmonized with society. See, because I have a family through a father who has a job and a mother who has you know, duties to do at the house, or who might have her own job, might have her own social things going on, and the neighbors, and it forms a kind of, what's the word that people use sometimes? A safety net, right? It's really important, psychologically speaking, to have that. It's really important not to be raised as like a feral animal, like a lot of kids are in the hood. You see a lot of kids. You see a lot of videos on YouTube of little black kids, and I hate to single you out, black kids. There's just as many videos of little white kids with, you know, derelict mothers. But you see some videos on the internet of black kids running around screaming, tearing up stores and shit like this, acting like feral animals. Why? Because that whole web that links you and your individual family, which should be a unit and strong, to the rest of society around you, which should also be formed of that strength, is starting to be undermined. And so you kind of fall out of the structure which pushes successful people forward. Successful people are successful not just because of themselves. They're successful because of the structures, the groups, the networks, especially their parents, and the strength of their family. That's what makes them. There's very few successful people that did it all by themselves with no help whatsoever. Probably none. It takes a village to raise a child, like it said, like the saying goes, and it takes a community to produce a healthy adult. You can't really be healthy if you've isolated yourself so much. So the reason I'm saying this is because black communities, like I said, been torn apart. Their inner family life has been torn apart. If you go to a lot of black people's houses, like, you know, crazy shit, kids running around everywhere, it's just a mess, you know. I mean, you'll have to excuse me for being honest, because I was raised white, middle class, and if any of the kids from families around when I was raised that would behave like some of the kids that I've seen in either white or black, you know, lower, what do I want to say? Let's just say raised in poverty. Kids who are raised in poverty, they get a totally different upbringing than kids who are raised in the middle class. Far less, it's much more disconnected from that structure, that social web, which produces a healthy person. So, how does that relate to Freddie Gray? I told you I was going to start from the beginning, and that's starting from the beginning. He started out in this kind of situation. It's obvious, because I looked and I checked to see if he didn't have a father, and he does. But how the hell is he going to have a father and also have 20 criminal court cases for drug charges and shit like that? Obviously his father is a shit father. And by the way, family, if you didn't want, excuse me, sorry, like I said, it's early morning here in California. It's 7:30, and I'm a little sniffly, and my coffee's ready, but I'm gonna wait till I'm done with this video till I finish it. And I'm rambling 15 minutes, god damn it. I can't do it. I just can't make a 5-minute video. It's impossible for me. I have so much to say. Okay, so I started at the beginning and I told my completely unbiased opinion of why all things like this tend to happen. But that's only half of the story. That's only a quarter of the story even. If you know Freddie Gray, if his father, if his mother, who are all crying and going on TV and bitching and moaning, they're blaming everybody else, and it's that same fucking mentality. It's that same liberal democratic mentality. Somebody else's problem. It's a racist white policeman's problem. It's a blah 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 blah's problem. No, it's your damn problem. You didn't raise your kid properly, so he's doing 20 fucking criminal court cases. Like, you really got to try hard to have 20 criminal court cases. You really got to try hard. And yet I sympathize with it, because in depressed places like Baltimore, it is hard to get a job. Is it impossible? No. That's why the parents need to come in and guide their children and make sure that they're doing good in school. And if they're not doing good in school, they need to hire them a tutor. They need to do anything they can, because if your kid is fucking up in high school, your kid is going to fuck up for the rest of their life. That's the most important part of life. And it's not even black parents who are solely responsible for being derelict to their kids during school. This happens so much in white families. I think it's a large reason why that you're seeing so many of the formerly middle-class white families having a problem with their children ascending up the social ladder. It's because their parents cut them loose as teenagers. They were raised in single-parent homes and divorced, broken houses. Their safety net had been ripped apart. And that's why you're seeing a lot of, especially in the town I live in, it's fucking sad, man. It's sad as hell. You see a fucking kid, I see a kid my age, homeless, just walking down the street. Like, it's sad. It's sad. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And I know it's not his fault. I know that it's his family, it's his society, it's just things just sometimes for a lot of people just don't add up. But for black people, they don't add up a lot of more of the times, because they came from this cycle of poverty and violence. Okay, so I think I've spoken enough about that. Let me talk about the second part of what I wanted to say. And I'm sorry for making this so long, I really am. I didn't make a lot of short videos instead of a couple long videos. But I cover a lot. I go through the whole thing. So, here's the important part. That whole thing that I just said, that last 20 minutes, that was just a preamble, okay? This is the important part. Why are we even talking about this? Why are we talking about this? How many hundreds of people get killed every year by the cops? You know, and it's not just because of your race, buddy. It's because if I was to walk around looking like a tweaker as a white person, you know, look with the way that meth heads look and behave and act, they would treat me a hell of a lot differently than they treat me if I'm just walking around as a normal citizen. And I guarantee, as a black person, if you're not, you know, using the ebonics and the slang and all this stuff, and you're just talking normal, you're not copping an attitude with the cop, I guarantee you they'll give you a fucking 10,000% better treatment than if you treat them the way that I see a lot of black people treat cops, and a lot of young white people who've been influenced by this whole street culture treat the cops. who are just doing their fucking jobs, and they're doing a damn important job, okay? You start talking to a cop like, you know, with an attitude, instantly you just, it just creates problems. You start right there. You just stop. Don't talk to cops with attitude. You know, if you got a record like Mr. Freddie Gray did, and I don't know, nobody knows what happened, how, you know, what happened during the arrest, conflicting testimony, blah blah blah. But I guarantee he wasn't, oh yes, here officers, come in and take me away. I guarantee there was some resistance. Yeah, verbally, physically, whatever. Does that justify what happened? Hell no. And those officers who are responsible for the crime of whatever the hell happened in the paddy wagon that resulted in him dying by spinal injuries should be tried. They should be tried, not, I don't think for murder, but they should be tried for whatever kind of other kind of law would cover that kind of situation, which is less than something as serious as murder, you know, negligence or something like that. So as far as him getting arrested and killed, that shit happens every day, man. How many people every day does it happen to? How many people every day does it happen to? How many people are unjustly killed every day? How many people are unjustly killed in Iraq and Syria by our military, not just by the police, but by the military every day? There's a hell of a lot of things that the media could be talking about, but for some strange reason, the media for the last 2 to 3 years have been hyping the hell out of this narrative of blacks versus whites. Now, this is a strange fucking thing, because the media is liberal as hell. The media, they, you know, not the media, but yes, the media, the liberal as hell. When I say liberal, I mean politically correct, really. Media have been trying to bring black and white people together, supposedly, you know, by being so politically correct, trying to get white people to poo-poo themselves and to treat black people with kid gloves. It's like, as one black person put it. The left wing was responsible for all the social justice movements in the 60s, which were really financed by the KGB, a lot of them actually, literally financed by the KGB in order to undermine our society. Is that what we're seeing right now? Who knows? Look into Yuri Bezmenov for that. See, the sunlight's shining right in my eye, so you can't really see my face. Yuri Bezmenov, he talks about that. But I'm getting all over the place now. Why are the media focusing on this one case when there are so many things that we could be talking about? Why are they fomenting black versus white, and especially black versus white in the sense that, like, that white cops treat blacks differently, therefore it's a part of this whole, like, institutionalized white racism against black people, which, like I said again, is another cop-out, but it's an understood cop-out, because it's hard not to feel underprivileged when you've been in this downward spiral that I don't need to explain anymore, because you understand what I'm saying, right? You feel underprivileged. You see white people, or not even white, Asian, any people who are doing well, and you feel jealous, and you have a lot of internalized anger and rage, and that's where these riots come from. You know, they've been in that downward spiral, they've been in that internalized rage, and it bursts, and the media provoked it. Let me tell you, folks. Ever seen the movie 1984 or read the book 1984? What's more powerful, a gun or your own nationally syndicated news channel? I'll tell you what's more powerful than a gun. Is a nationally syndicated news channel. Like they say in network, they can make or break presidents. They can win or lose wars.
Less than 3% of you people read books. Because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people. And that's why woe is us that Edward George Ruddy died. Because this company is now in the hands of CCA, the Communication Corporation of America. There's a new chairman of the board, a man called Frank Hackett, sitting in Mr. Ruddy's office on the 20th floor. And when the 12th largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network?
Media is the big brother. The media is the arm of the U.S. national security, military, intelligence, CIA apparatus. Every time you hear on the media, oh, we have an unnamed government official who quoted such and such and such, it's because the CIA works with the media just like they work with Hollywood. And no, this isn't some conspiracy shit. This is proven. I do my research. Trust me, please. I'm Shaktipat Seer. I've been here for 5, 6, 7 years giving you guys the truth and the realness. Trust me when I say something that I've researched it from good sources. Because I don't buy into bullshit. I never have, never will. You never seen me buy into bullshit. And I never will buy into bullshit. The CIA and the U.S. military, which is the part of the military-industrial complex, financial complex is in there too. They are the richest, wealthiest, most powerful things, groups to ever have existed on the face of this earth. They're the ones who are behind this information war that they started after the, if you read this a paper titled Mind, see, I'm getting deep into this. I'm getting deep into this. You ain't going to see any other video that gets so deep into this case. Not a one, trust me. Conspiracy or straight type of YouTuber, you ain't going to see a single one that's going to get so deep into it than me right here. There was a paper written by Michael Aquino, Colonel Michael Aquino. If you researched anything at all about conspiracies, you know who Colonel Michael Aquino is. He was a Satanist. He's still alive. He is a Satanist. He was the leader of the Temple of Set. He was involved in MK Ultra, confirmed to be involved in MK Ultra and mind control, and in researching information warfare. He co-authored a paper titled Mind War, psychological battlefield of the future, Mind War, psychological operations, something, but it's called Mind War, and his primary principle was that they need to take use of the media because the military was reeling from their, what they felt was their stab in the back at home from the people who didn't want the Vietnam War. called Mind War, and his primary principle was that they need to take use of the media because the military was reeling from their what they felt was their stab in the back at home from the people who didn't want the Vietnam War. And remember, the U.S. military is the most powerful group on the planet. The way I see it, the U.S. military is basically like the insurance policy for the Rothschilds and robber barons. The ultimate insurance policy. The ultimate security guards to guard their assets in third world nations that the CIA set up for them. So, U.S. military, CIA, Rothschilds, big business, that's how they work together to control everything and to secure everything, secure their investments, secure their investments in basically owning and controlling the whole planet. So, Michael Aquino concluded that the U.S. military needed to take use of this great asset, the media, or other countries will, and that's what we're seeing right now. This huge battle between groups. You have RT on one side, Al Jazeera English, and of course all the American spin medias and the BBC. Media has become nothing more than an arm of the national security, military, CIA, blah, 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 complex. It's become nothing more than that. Other than to keep you, keep you entertained with stories about gratuitous violence and things like that. It's mainly an information war campaign. Now, why did I mention that? Several reasons. The type of social media revolutions that went on in Egypt, Tunisia, Libya. I talked about this in my previous video about geopolitics. The type of social revolutions that went on there were created by information warfare campaigns by the U.S. military. I would say the CIA, but everybody says the CIA. It's actually kind of a... I can't believe I'm at 30 minutes now. God damn it. I need to finish. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm sorry, guys. Who am I? Stephen Molyneux? Shit. I say the CIA, or I say the military because from a lot of insiders that I hear, the real strength is in military and military intelligence, and the CIA is kind of just like a distraction, a red herring. They gather information and stuff, but the real power is in the military. So these social media campaigns, which apparently the U.S. military complex they have a switch somewhere that they can just hit this switch. Theoretically, of course, it involves much more than that. They can click a switch somewhere and create a social media revolution, like all these colored revolutions, like all this Arab Spring, like the war in Syria, which was instigated in order to try to bring down Assad, but which was if you remember from my previous video, it was scuttled by Assad's realization of what was happening. Unlike in Tunisia and Libya, where they didn't realize what was happening in time and got fucked. I believe that the U.S. military and or CIA, DIA, other intelligence branches of the U.S. of the military are leading these Baltimore riots, are leading the Ferguson riots. I believe that they are the ones responsible for the main creation of the social media campaigns to get people to go out and to riot. They want to create divide and conquer. They want you to focus on, oh, it's those damn black people. And they're getting this response from white people like crazy. I see it all over the place. You know, it's, oh, you goddamn black people, that's all you do is rob, loot, and kill, without understanding why that happens. And black people say, oh, it's all you white people, it's your fault, you enslaved us, you did this and that and that and that and that. They're both cop-outs. I recognize, you know, what my forefathers, America has always had black people, okay? American culture has always been, dare I say, enriched by black culture. We've had black music, black art, comedy, you name it. Black people make tremendous entertainers. They excel at entertainment. They're tremendous athletes. And I'm sure that you can find an example of a black person being other kind of stuff too. But in general, you know, they've added to the Americana experience in the way of athletic athletes and entertainment. And so to say black people are the problem for everything, we don't need black people hating black people, that is the problem reaction solution that I believe that this is heading towards. I believe that just like the information campaigns in Syria, in Egypt, in Libya, in the Ukraine, this is fourth generation warfare, I believe it's called. It's called, what they did in Ukraine was called hybrid war. They talk. There was some Center for Strategic Studies Institutes talks about Putin's new hybrid war campaign. So war has evolved. War is no longer traditional war fought between countries. It's this information mixed with, in the case of Ukraine, mixed with some regular military, a lot of information war, you know, what the hell else? Putting in puppets, and that all of this is a part of hybrid war. So I believe that America is a target of hybrid war by its national security system. It doesn't want people to target the people who are in charge, namely the ones, like I said, in the media, in the financial sector, in the military, what's called the deep state. I don't like to call it the Illuminati because that implies that it's some kind of cohesive, you know, group that meets in shadowy dungeons, and there may be some certain groups like that. But I call it the deep state because it represents people involved in the deepest aspects of our national security, who really wield true power and who do actually work together and conspire together to get their way, like destroying the Constitution. So I believe the people behind the media, the military, financial sector, dare I say the Jews, don't want people in America to start waking up and taking them as their enemy. So they create an artificial enemy for them. Here, look, your problem is immigrants. Here, look, your problem is black people. Here, look, black people, your problem is that the white man's keeping you down. Which, by the way, is bullshit, you know? It's your cycle of downward spiral, which disconnects you from the safety web of society, which allows you to be a functioning person in society, which keeps you down whether you're white or black. And just so happens that it's hit black communities a lot harder. So I believe that the real game here is divide and conquer. And I bought into it. I even bought into it when it first started. Just because of the amount of vitriol that was going around, it was contagious. I'm sure you remember last year how much racism was going around. And I hate to use that word because it's a stupid word, but how much hatred of another person just because of their race and for, you know, other reasons that you may or may not fully understand, but just kind of emotionally cling to, about another person of a different ethnic background have been going around like crazy. And it's really silly because black people didn't crash our economy, okay? And black people, white people created a society where you can live in a house, even if it's a shitty house and you're broke. You got a house, you got a PlayStation 4, you know, you got your Nikes and stuff. You're a hell of a lot happier than if you were out living in a mud hut in Zaire somewhere, okay? And that's not racist, that's just a fact. If you're so angry at white people for bringing you here, I'm sure you enjoy the life you live now more than you would than if you lived in fucking the middle of Africa. So I'm gonna stop blaming white people for your problems. Your problems have to do with your community, your lack of love for each other and trust for each other, which has come out of that separation anxiety, that psychological separation anxiety, that lack of proper family structure and school structure, which pushes you on as a healthy human being. So I think I've said a hell of a lot about this, and I think I've made a lot of good points that you're not going to find a lot of people who just want to say blah 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 blah. Some they're talking about little tiny aspects of the case, and they're not looking at the big picture, which is again why I said I wanted to start at the real beginning of this issue. And no, the real beginning of the issue isn't fucking slavery, because your ass is not a slave. Your ass, like I said, lives a hell of a lot better than you would if you're living in Liberia right now getting Ebola. Alright, so don't give me that bullshit. Your problems are to do with the downward spiral of poverty, fatherlessness, and crime, which is rampant in your communities and which is not an easy thing to fix. It takes your own selves, and that's why you shouldn't be liberals. That's why you should be Republicans, who tell you that, you know, lift yourself up by your own bootstraps, right? And help your brother, but don't expect handouts to save you. Don't expect something else to come from outside to save you. It's got to come from inside you. You got to find the strength inside you, black people, white people, all people, to overcome the trauma that we've all had. Like I said, I come from a broken home. Overcome the trauma that we've all had, and work with one another to make a better society. And let's go after the people who are turning us against each other. This big brother. And again, why are they turning us against each other? Think about it. Why are they putting martial law on the streets? Why are they rolling out the military hardware? The SWAT teams and the MRAPs and the all this. Why are they making it, you know, this also ties into the whole like Boston bombing thing where they shut the whole city down, and they had the military out, clear violation of posse comitatus. It's because America, they are preparing their investments. That's what I said the military is all about, is securing the investments of the rich, whether it's in other countries or our country. They're preparing in the case that they damn well know that there's either going to be a war or some kind of mass upheaval combined with an economic meltdown that's coming right around the corner. They can only shore up the economy for so long. It's coming right around the corner. And so you get Americans used to martial law on the street. Get them rioting against each other. What you're doing is you're destabilizing the country. America is being destabilized. What happens to a destabilized country? All you got to do is take one look at Syria or Libya or Iraq, and you'll see what happens to a destabilized country. They might even be prepping us for some kind of race war between white and black people. I have no fucking idea. But please, I said just about everything that I want to say, and if you've taken the time to listen to it, I very much appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Don't fall for the trap, man. Don't fall for the trap. Be mindful, examine, ask yourself the questions. What is really going on here? Do the research. See what your government's doing to you. Not even the government, but see what the deep state is doing. Get out of here, Teddy. They don't care about white or black. Are you kidding? You think they give a shit about white or black? They just don't want you to point the finger at them. The banksters. The international money lenders. Do I even need to say it? Those not even Jews. They're not Jews. They're not Jews. They're not Hebrews. They're Zionists. Our real enemy here is the Zionists. Operation Clean Break, Yinon Plan. Watch those videos that I made, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Peace.